Welcome, friends, to another exciting episode of A VGM Journey. And I'm your host, The Messenger. The track that we're playing into today's show is the Sunken Aqueduct from the game Demon's Crest, and it was composed by Toshihiko Horiyama. Normally when I start a show, I always say, hey, I got a real fun episode for you guys. And I think that the track selection is really good on this one. But typically when I put together a VGM Journey episodes, I usually play just a lot of stuff that I just happen to be listening to at that moment. And based off of this track list, I kind of wonder where my mind is. Only because a lot of the music on this specific episode is going to be either creepy sounding or spooky or maybe dark in subject matter. So I just definitely wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. And I will also say that we're going to kick the show off with a little tribute to composer Robert Prince, who just a couple weeks ago at the time of recording passed away. And that he was best known for doing the music for Doom 1 and 2, the Commander Keen series, Duke Nukem 3D, and this game that I'm going to play a track from, which is Wolfenstein 3D. The track is Searching for the Enemy, and it was composed by Robert Prince. That track that you just heard, that was Searching for the Enemy from the game Wolfenstein 3D, and it was composed by Robert Prince. Wolfenstein 3D is such a great game, and I know that it's hard to talk about it and not mention Doom, but it definitely was the prototype Doom, and that's not a bad thing. And in Wolfenstein 3D, you assume the role of Allied Forces spy William B.J. Blazkowicz, who has to escape from Castle Wolfenstein, fighting Nazis and just causing a whole lot of mayhem along the way. And though the soundtrack isn't nearly as iconic as the soundtrack for Doom, I will say that it's a good one. A lot of the tracks go for more of a subtle, sneaking around military march type of music, which is appropriate because you will find yourself having to go through all these maze-like corridors and hallways, collecting keys and trying to find treasure along the way. And though the game is action-packed, I like that the music is pretty moody. I also think that Robert Prince did a really fantastic job on the soundtrack, and he will be missed. We're going to move on to our next track, and this is coming from Mina the Hollower. The track is The Pallbourne, also known as Queensbury Crypt, and this was composed by Jake Kaufman. That track that you just listened to, that was The Pallbourne, also known as Queensbury Crypt, from the game Mina the Hollower, and it was composed by Jake Kaufman. It's no surprise that a brand new soundtrack from Jake Kaufman happens to be really good, and though I haven't played the game yet, and trust me, it's high on my list of things to do, I've definitely listened to the soundtrack, and I gotta say, it is really good. And definitely a worthy follow-up to Yacht Club Games' previous game, Shovel Knight. I would also say that the game itself is definitely up my alley, with it being kind of a cross between Zelda and Castlevania, and even with a little sprinkle of Dark Souls into it too. And I find the creepy and spooky atmosphere to be rather charming in a way. I know that sounds weird, but that's just how I feel about it. Definitely want to play it and talk about it some more in a future episode. I do, however, want to follow this up with a then and now. And what's funny about this specific then and now is that the last time that I did a then and now, I did a track that was arranged for Vampire Survivors. And that this time it's going to be a track that was arranged from Vampire Survivor. And that track is going to be Rolling Thunder from the game Vampire Survivor and also Vampire Crawlers. It was originally composed by Danielle Zandara, and the arrangement was done by Filippo Vicarelli. those two tracks that you just heard, they were Rolling Thunder from Vampire Survivor and Rolling Thunder from Vampire Crawlers, originally composed by Danielle Zandara, and the arrangement was done by Filippo Vicarelli. I really like the original Vampire Survivors version of the track. It's definitely intense, and I find it weirdly uplifting in a way as you're getting swarmed by all these different monsters and you're just going to town on them, throwing all these different projectiles and using magic and attacks. It's really crazy. But I do love the arrangement from Vampire Crawlers. It definitely ups the energy a bit, and that it kind of goes for a more RPG feel, which makes sense because Vampire Crawlers is a dungeon crawler spin-off of Vampire Survivors, and that you're in these turn-based battles with using cards and having different abilities. And for which one I like better, I'm actually going to give a slight edge to the Vampire Crawlers arrangement. Definitely love the energy on that one, and I'm actually a bit curious on what you guys think. So I do have a feeling that some of you would probably prefer the original, and I wouldn't blame you. I mean, it is really good. So that is that. And I would now say that we should move on to our next track. Definitely a classic one from a classic arcade game, an arcade fighting game. And that game is Mortal Kombat. And I decided to play the track Goro's Lair from it, composed by Dan Forden. That track that you just heard, that was Goro's Lair from the game Mortal Kombat, and it was composed by Dan Forden. And that's going to just about do it for the show today. If you like what you've been listening to, have your friends check out the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and whatever pod-catching service that you could think of. We're more than likely going to be on there. You can email the show at vgmjourney@yahoo.com. And you could also check us out on both X and Blue Sky at VGM Journey. We also have a Discord server for the show, which I'll provide a link for that in the show notes, where you can hang out with your fellow VGM journeymen and talk about games, music, and even look at some cool art. I'm also going to play things out with one more track, and this is coming from the game Devilish. The track is Seaside, and it was composed by Hitoshi Sakimoto. Have a good one, everyone.